Hello, my name is Sabrina Pinello, and I will be presenting to you my curated Capstone collection. The name of my collection is Rustic Country, and here is an image of my mood board. My mood board consists of very naturalistic and naturistic elements, which has helped to drive my color palette. My color palette consists of muted yellow, neutral tones with a hint of blush pink and green. The concept that drives this collection is the idea that in today's world we are so busy that we are never fully focused on the one task that we are doing. The example I give is we could be writing an email and thinking about who we need to call later and what we should make for dinner. Therefore, I want my collection to be intriguing so much so that it is the only thing that you are focused on. It forces the mind to rid of all other distractions and to be in the moment. As well, I would love for this collection of fabrics to be engaging with the audience and interactive with the audience, so much so that they come up, touch the fabric, analyze it, and take a moment to be with these textiles. Here are some images from Ideal Homes 2020 trends that consist of light gray, blush pink, wood accents, and plant life. Plant life is a very big part of the rustic style, and therefore I have chosen to include green into my color palette. Some images here consisting of slubs, stripes, diamonds, and herringbone patterns have inspired me throughout the creation of this collection. From WGSN, I have come across these two pages. On the left-hand side, Enchanting to Mention, I feel, has really spoken to my collection. It has this idea of taking a flat surface of a textile and through the use of applique or embroidery, creating this alternate surface that becomes this eye-catching factor for the audience. On the right-hand side, Simply Natural again speaks to my mood board, as well as how the majority of my collection is composed of natural fibers such as wool, linen, and alpaca. This collage was created in the beginning of this process, and the magazine clippings that I continued to pull were composed of neutral colors and wood. Therefore, I have come up with Rustic Country. Here are some images from my sketchbook, and on the left-hand side is an idea that I had for an engineered print. I have taken some of my own recycled jacquard fabrics and have cut out motifs and pasted them on there. On the right-hand side are paintings of floral motifs with gouache for an engineered print. These images were printed off of Weave Point for rug and table runner samples. Experimentation samples starting on the upper left-hand side is an image of a double cloth in which I was experimenting with the different fill colors and how they interact with the face and back warp. Just below that is an image of recycled jacquard fabric that I wove on my loom when tying onto the bar. Every time someone would approach my loom, this is what their eye would be drawn to. They would question me on this, they would look up close to it and touch it and spend a moment with this piece. Therefore, I knew that this was something I should pursue and follow up with into my collection because it speaks to my concept. Towards the middle of the screen is a sombrella woven piece in which I have painted gouache over top and began to embroider as an idea for an engineered piece. And just to the right of that is a sample of a placemat in which I was experimenting with different fill yarns. Some peg loom experimentation in which weaving is done with no tension on the warp. This was a great exercise to see how the different fill yarns interact with one another and the different color combinations that can be made, as well as the different warp densities and how weaving with roving may look. Before diving into my final curated collection, here is an image of a leaf vine print I've created with the motifs previously shown. I wove this pattern into jacquards. I had full intention of pursuing this idea. However, with the transition to online learning, the jacquard looms were no longer available to us. I feel that it was important for me to include this in my presentation because this idea helped drive one of my final pieces. Here, as we dive into my curated collection, is an image of an undulating twilled table runner composed of 100% linen fill with a poly rayon slub warp. This table runner is to about standard length of 43 inches long and 14 inches wide. It has this embossed look to it, so again, being that eye-catching factor for the audience. And here is a mapping of its end use as a table runner. This double cloth fabric is fairly large and can be used as either a rug or a wall hanging piece. Its dimensions are 22 inches wide and 28 inches long. This filling rib piece I've decided to compose of mostly this neutral wool fill to help ground those neutral colors into my collection and not get lost in the other colors. This also contains alpaca and a hint of linen fill. And here's a mapping of its intended end use on these farmhouse-style dining chairs. This placemat is an uneven basket and has been woven on the same warp as the table runner. Again, is composed of 100% linen fill and to almost standard dimensions at about 19 inches wide and 14 inches long. And here is its intended end use as placemats. This image here is of a tapestry woven piece with crocheted pieces. These crocheted pieces also have pink embroidery on top to help bring back in a subtle blush pink. It is woven with 3 different colors of linen to help give that wood look or that wood effect. Once again, these crocheted woven strips help give that super raised surface and to be the eye-catching factor to the audience. And here is a mapping of its intended end use. This tapestry woven piece encapsulates my entire mood board with its colors and down to the way it is mounted on this wood stick. I've decided to weave with roving to help give that contrast of a flat plain weave surface to a raised plain weave surface, again being that eye-catching factor. Lastly, this is my engineered print in which, starting at the bottom, it is very clustered and then sets free towards the top to help feed back into that very natural feel and almost whimsical feel. This was intended to be dye sub printed onto an 84-inch long chiffon fabric as a curtain. However, with this transition to online learning, the dye sub printer was no longer available to us. I did not want to rid of this idea and I truly wanted to make this work. So therefore, I have decided to take a portion of this print on the bottom right-hand corner and zoom that in, which is something you see in the middle of the screen. And I decided that if I can work with something on a smaller scale, such as this zoomed in piece, I could make this work. Which leads me into my final engineered piece. This is 100% Sunbrella fill and warp. And I went ahead and painted over top with gouache and embroidery with terry and linen. Again, that terry and linen gives that raised surface and that wow factor for the audience. Thank you so much for watching, and again, my name is Sabrina Pinello, and this is my Rustic Country Capstone collection. Feel free to connect or reach out via my Instagram account, Behance, or LinkedIn.